I am not an AI fan, not for a lack of trying, I just haven't found it useful yet in my day-to-day work or research or anything. However, NotebookLM has been quite useful recently. For those unfamiliar, NotebookLM is a Google tool. Have a Google account and then you can create a notebook. You can see I've made a lot of these, or actually most of these, are around research that I look for. So martial arts, so fundamental movements, affordances, ecological assumptions, and all related to ecological dynamics, my main research field. However, you can see this most recent one. This notebook is actually about easy fundraising. For a little bit of context here, I run Eastbourne Trampoline. I'm currently looking to fundraise, and this is a way to fundraise, but I wanted to understand it a little bit better. Now, if you live in the UK, you might be able to do it if you live elsewhere. I'm not really sure, but if you want to donate, I'll leave a link in the description for you to just sign up, and then we get a bit for the first 2 weeks, which is great, but we're focused on AI, so if you want to support, great. If not, just let's get back to AI. You can see inside of NotebookLM in the left side I have all of my sources, which I'll go through in a second, but in this main window I have a written note. So I got on a call with someone and pushed add note, and then if I left click I can then change it, so that was a call, it's just written note. 10 users get £1 per user in the first 2 weeks. Again, for clarity, I signed up to Easy Fundraising yesterday, so in the first 2 weeks, if we get more than 10 users, £1 goes towards the cause being Eastbourne Trampoline. Now, originally, I didn't actually take this note in NotebookLM. I took it in Obsidian while I was on the phone because I had my computer in front of me, but I moved it over here to see if the AI would answer the questions about this in relation to all the other sources I put in. So if I go to the left-hand side and push plus, I get the option to add sources. You can see I can add up to 50. I've only added 2. The first one being Google Docs or Google Slides. I don't really use those, so I'm not going to attach any of those. But then we have a website link, and if I click on the first source I added, you can see this is actually their website. So all I did was I came to their website, I copied the address, I came down to NotebookLM and then added source and pasted it inside of the website bar here. At the top of the source it gives me a summary which I can read through, which is actually nicer than the website summary, which is mildly ironic. Then we have the main topics, which if I click on, it then continues the discussion that I've already actually had and answers the questions about donation shopping or online fundraising, etc. So you can see there's the answers about donate shopping explained. But before I go into the conversation, you can see I've also got another site in here, and what I did is I searched up is easy fundraising a scam, clicked on the first link, and then I copied and pasted the link to this forum because it's got all of the answers in the forum, put it in as a source into NotebookLM, then I went and had a conversation. So you can see view chat, or you can start typing down in the bottom. I asked some questions. So the first question was, how do I earn money? And it then gives me a nice explanation with sources. And then it's got 1 for the first source, 2 for the second source. Now, even though these are the same source, it's got different numbers, which as an academic in me, I'm not a big fan of. But I mean, it's still useful nonetheless to go where it is. And very much like Obsidian, it gives you sort of like a page preview view of the source. Very much like I say, like the footnotes or the page preview inside of Obsidian, which is nice. But my main use case here is actually finding the answers. So I found the answers. Then how much do I earn? Gives me the answer. How much money is given to the cause? And it gives me the answer from the AI. As this is a note I'd actually like to save, I can then push save to note, and now I've got a saved response inside of the notes. And this is, for me, what's most interesting, because I can save the different responses to the conversations that I'm having. And what that means is if this conversation is long, I don't actually have to go up and back and round and all the rest of it. It does give you some suggested questions, but how can charity benefit, for example? It gives you questions, but I'm looking for specific questions, looking for specific answers in myself. So I'm going to go to the X and close that down, but that gives me the answers for what I wanted to know. And what I'm personally doing is then copy and pasting this text into Obsidian so that I can then work with it in a software I'm more familiar with. But this is my particular use case, and the reason I don't like using it for these use cases, if we take, let's take this first one as an example, because I think this is the one that I had the most hope for. What I did, you can see here, is I attached this video essay. It's just over 2 hours long, me going over this academic textbook. I talk about it in depth, which I thought, oh, this is going to be really good, really interesting, and I was excited to see the conversation. You can see I've actually done this conversation before. I'm going to load it and then it'll probably take a bit of time. There we go, and it's condensed the 2-hour video into a 14-minute summary, so I'm going to play it for a second.
Ever feel like, your brain is kind of like the CEO up there, calling all the shots, deciding how you see the world and move through it.
So there's a couple of seconds now. There are two people that go backwards and forwards and have a conversation, which is nice, but it fundamentally misunderstands what it is that I'm talking about here because it uses information from elsewhere. And I think because this is such a complex topic, requiring a lot of understanding and nuance and expertise, the AI just doesn't get it, which either requires more sources, more training, or other things. For example, if I ask what is an affordance, it says the system is unable to answer, which obviously isn't useful, especially as there is an entire 10-minute section of what an affordance is. Something I did different for the majority of the rest of these is if I go into affordances, and this was pasted text from my Obsidian, so I just copied and pasted the script from Obsidian for the video into NotebookLM. Now if I click on one of the sources, you can see there's the text, it's just normal text. It still identified the key topics, but if I ask a question, let's say, what is an affordance? It gives me a pretty accurate explanation of what affordances are, but it's basically regurgitating the text that I gave it. For those new to the topic, this could be useful, but it could also be a bit of a red herring, as it could say something or use words that aren't entirely accurate, which is what I've experienced with reading through some of this, which is where I think a healthy level of skepticism is useful when using AI with research, especially with topics that are complex. But like I say, for the easy fundraising one, I think the explanation of the website and then the conversation with the two different sites or 3 sites or 7 sites or using them for YouTube reviews, which is something I've also been thinking about doing, NotebookLM might be the way to go. If you have any tips, tricks, ideas or thoughts about how to use NotebookLM or any other AI chatbot thing, let me know in the comment section below because I'm intrigued.